Hi there. This video is for any upcoming graduates going into their first year as a CFY. Being a CFY can be very overwhelming, and there's a lot of things to remember, and it's almost impossible to remember everything you did in grad school. Many of us will be working with clients who have motor speech disorders, and there will come a time where we will be given a brand new client with a motor speech disorder, and we'll want to panic because we won't know what to do. So I made this video as a reference point so that you can remember all the steps to a motor speech evaluation. So you can even play this in the car as you're on your way to work and you know you have an evaluation, so you can remember all the steps. So, number one, after you've gathered all of your identifying information, you'll want to gather a thorough case history. So this case history will be similar to other assessments, but we want to make sure to attend to the course of the disorder and the rate of change, the patient's awareness of the disorder and changes to communication, and any associated problems, particularly cognitive, language, and swallowing impairments. After that, after you've done your thorough case history, you will want to do your oral mech and cranial nerve exam. So you'll be mostly using non-speech activities. You'll want to examine the structure and size of the tongue. You'll want to see the symmetry at rest. You'll want to look for any presence of lesions, growths, mucosal normalcy, any dyskinesias. You want to examine the range of movement. You'll also want to look for facial musculatures at rest and during voluntary movement, mandibular musculature at rest and during movement, and like I said, tongue musculature at rest and during movement. And as far as the velum and pharynx go, that will be at rest and movement, but you also want to make sure you observe the function of the larynx. Okay, so you've done your thorough case history, you've done your oral mech and cranial nerve exam. Next, you're going to want to look at the acoustic, phonatory, and respiratory components of their speech. So in order to do this, you'll need to first and foremost do the perceptual portion. So this is considered the gold standard for differential diagnosis. So this evaluation begins right when the person walks in, and usually you'll think the person doesn't sound right, and you'll want to make your judgment and check the latency, the quality, the pitch, the loudness of their voice, and have them sustain a vowel for as long as possible to determine their phonation. In addition to this, you're going to want to test combined systems. So you're going to want to use your AMRs, alternate motion rate, so pa, ta, ka, and then your sequential motion rate, so the patika, patika, patika. So you're doing all of this, and you're really going to use your perceptual standard. So you're going to want to do this because this is really going to help you differentiate those motor speech disorders. You want to make sure you have a checklist of things to look for each different motor speech disorder. Okay, so you've checked for acoustic and phonatory systems. You're also going to want to check for the resonatory system. So you're going to want to check for nasal air emission and perceptual opinion of nasality. Okay, so make sure there's no air coming out of their nose when they're speaking, and then listen for any hypo or hypernasality. Lastly, you're going to want to test for nonverbal apraxia assessment. For this, you're going to be using nonverbal oral movements without demonstrations. So, for example, you'll say, pretend you're licking a lollipop, or pretend you're blowing a kiss, but you're not going to want to give any demonstrations for any of those. After you've done that, you'll do your verbal apraxia assessment. You're going to repeat words. They're going to repeat words of increasing complexity, and that's when you're going to check for consistent or inconsistent patterns, okay? And then you're going to start with simple words and move on to multi-syllabic words. Of course, you always need a connected speech sample. So, in order to do this, you can probe your client or new patient to answer questions, have a conversation with them, just so you can get a full picture of where they're at as far as their speech skills go. But you can also have them read a paragraph and check how they do as far as reading goes. After that, you're going to check your reflex assessment. Make sure they have a normal gag reflex. You'll also want to look for any compensations that they might have during the evaluation. These may improve their speech, or they could have maladaptive strategies and environmental conditions that may worsen speech. Okay, that was a lot, but the most important thing to do is to take notes and to make sure we're paying full attention so that we can interpret our findings. And when we're interpreting our findings, you're going to want to provide a thorough summary, a diagnosis, a prognosis, and any follow-up plan with your recommendations. Make sure that everything is communicated with your supervising SLP, the client, and any parents or caregivers and spouses involved. I hope you found this video helpful, and that you can listen to this on your way to your job and as a resource for any future clients. Thanks for watching.